Welcome to Under the Ancient Oaks, a monthly video series about paganism, polytheism, and living a good life during difficult times. I'm John Beckett, druid, priest, and writer. We're here at the Cernunnos shrine at Trout Lake Abbey in Washington State. And I am pleased to have here my friend and Patheos Pagan editor, Jason Mankey. Jason, welcome to Under the Ancient Oaks.
It's a pleasure to be here with you, John.
Tell the people who don't know you a little bit about yourself.
As John said, my name is Jason. I'm the author of The Witch's Athame, a book all about pointy things that witches use in the circle, and The Witch's Book of Shadows. I am a witch of the Wiccan persuasion, and I have been so for about 20 years now.
Very good. One of the things Jason and I have in common is a devotion to Cernunnos. I found him very early in life, although I didn't know who he was at the time. I just knew that the woods were a special place, a sacred place, a magical place. I still thought there was only one God, and to be honest, if he had appeared to me in bodily form, I would have run screaming away. But I knew the woods were a safe place, a place where someone listened, where someone told me to just keep going because it'll get better, and it did. And later in life, after I had become a pagan, he reappeared in my life through this wonderful medallion, and I have been learning about him and listening to him and doing my best to serve him ever since.
When I first became involved in witchcraft, I was all for the goddess. It was all about the loving mother goddess, and that's what I wanted to experience, and I was scared to death of the horn god. There was just too much sort of Satan background, and I just couldn't do it. And the first horn god that I ever encountered was Pan, and Pan is very, very different from Cernunnos. And I knew of him, but we didn't have a relationship until one particular Samhain night. A friend of mine had asked me to be a part of her ritual, and she wanted me to be comic relief. And I was like, I want a good, juicy part in the ritual. I want to facilitate the spirits coming back from the Summerlands to us. And she said, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's what we'll let you do. And we're doing that ritual, and that's a lot of work, trying to create a portal to the Summerlands and trying to welcome back those that we love. And I felt this presence on my shoulder. I felt this hand. And that wasn't Pan, and it wasn't Dionysus. And I looked at it, and that was Cernunnos, and that was our first time together. And that bond has grown, those experiences together have grown, and over the last 4 or 5 years especially, I think his call has gotten a lot louder in my life.
You know, we really don't know much about Cernunnos from history.
We know almost nothing. His name only appears once. It's on a pillar called the Pillar of the Boatmen, found under modern-day Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. And that's it. And even that one Cernunnos name is missing the C.
Yeah. And this medallion that I wear, the artwork is taken from the Gundestrup Cauldron. We don't even know for sure that's Cernunnos. The imagery certainly leads you to think that way, but we don't know. And yet, here he is. Here we are in a shrine that Kirk Thomas and the folks here at Trout Lake Abbey have built to him. He's speaking to us, just not through books and not through ancient monuments.
You know, it's really strange when people ask about, are there any myths about Cernunnos? And you're like, no, there are no myths about Cernunnos. But one thing I found that's really amazing to me is when I meet a fellow devotee of Cernunnos, we talk about things and our experiences are similar. I think he's really out there talking to us. We don't have a myth that we can base these experiences on. All we have is what he gives us. And I think what he gives us has been very similar.
It has, even though we don't always see him in the same way. I see him as the stag god, sometimes as the stag with the full rack of antlers, and sometimes as a man with antlers growing out of his head, and sometimes just as a man in his physical prime. To me, he's a connection to the woods and to the nurturing aspects of nature.
To me, he's the Lord of the wild spaces. When I'm out here, and you can't see this, but we are ringed by trees. This is where he lives. This is where he's at. Sometimes I see him as the hunter in the woods, maybe with a bow upon his back. And then in my experiences too, especially around Samhain, he's been the Lord of death and resurrection as a result of death, because we can't be reborn until we die. So he has that underworld aspect to him in my experiences. Last night we were doing our Cernunnos devotional here in this space, and it was a ritual that you had mostly written, but Kirk wrote a little bit and I got to write a little bit, and I remember adding Lord of Death and Resurrection to my lines, and Dread Lord of Shadows. And it's a little different maybe from how he is in your life, but to me it felt like it all fit together. And it was just such an honor to work with two other priests of C, as we call him in the house.
This was a ritual that the Denton group has done 4 times, 3 times in 2013 and then again earlier this year. And every time it's been a little different, and it's a lot different here because it's a different location, working with different people and different people's input. Kirk, who comes from a very ADF background, and you who come from a Wiccan background, and my more eclectic polytheist background, and it all came together, and we didn't have to pull people out of the circle to get them dancing and shouting and throwing offerings into the fire.
Everybody just kind of jumped into it, and there's a moment there when we're doing the ritual, kind of towards the end, and you laugh, and it's this joyful, beautiful laugh, and I hear it. It's not you, John Beckett, laughing. It's Cernunnos laughing. It was wonderful. It's something that I'm going to treasure forever and going to take with me from this place.
Yeah. It was a wonderful experience, and we will have to do that again sometime.
Oh, most certainly.
All right. Jason, thank you for being with us on Under the Ancient Oaks this month.
Thank you for having me, John. Always a pleasure.
Very good.
The path of paganism includes a solitary devotional ritual to Cernunnos, and it covers devotion, the gods, and especially our experiences of the gods. It's available from Llewellyn Worldwide, and also from Amazon and from Barnes & Noble. And I discuss these topics and more 3 times a week on my blog, also called Under the Ancient Oaks, which is part of the pagan channel of the multi-faith religious website Patheos.
When I started the video series, I said I was going to make 4 episodes and then see how things went and figure out where to go from there. Well, 4 turned into 5, and then even before I posted the 4th one, I started shooting more video for a 6th episode. It's clear the videos have taken on a life of their own, so we're going to continue them on a monthly basis. I'm going to play with the format a little bit, see what works and what doesn't. Mainly, see what is best communicated in video versus what is better communicated with the written word. I appreciate your comments and kind words. Please keep them coming. If you've got something you'd like to see addressed in an Under the Ancient Oaks video, let me know. Good ideas come from lots of places. That's all for this month. May the blessings of the gods and ancestors be with you, now and in the days to come.